So you want to illustrate a children's book, but where do you even begin? I am Ellie, and I'm a children's book illustrator, and in this video I'll show you how I take a few messy sketches and I turn them into a published book. The starting line is always going to be the idea. Without one that inspires you and keeps you motivated, it will be really hard to stay consistent and actually finish the book you're working on. In this video, I will show you how I made this book, but if you don't have a client, then you can simply invent one for yourself. There's a ton of children's rhymes, songs, poems, short stories that you can choose from online. Find one that you like and start thinking of how you can transform the text into illustrations. You have the piece of text in front of you and it feels overwhelming and daunting. Maybe you have no idea where to start. I have certainly felt that way many times before, especially if the text is really long and there's no clear definition of where one page starts and another ends. What always helps me to pinpoint which moments are the most important to illustrate in the book is to ask myself, how can I tell the story without any text in it? With that in mind, let's break it down. Read the text multiple times. Pick out the moments that stand out to you the most. Did the character go on an adventure? Did they discover something new? What I find helpful to note down when I have the piece of text in front of me is to highlight all the places that the character is either doing an action or is feeling something. It will help me later on with putting the page together. Usually a book starts with the character design of the main character, so we will explore everything that's written in the text about them. Sometimes the authors would have a very clear picture of how they would like their main character to look like. If you are doing a book by yourself, you will have to find them in the text. Once we have our main character and we have warmed up a little bit by sketching them, while we still have the memory of their design, I would sketch out super roughly the key moments from our story into these little boxes. They're called either thumbnails or a storyboard. Make sure to keep the spreads varied and interesting for the viewer. Avoid making the whole book only in a double spread illustration. Try putting spot illustration or single page illustration just to keep the viewer more interested and engaged with the story and they don't find the illustrations repetitive or all the same. At this stage, it's important to not get too attached to all of the drawings you're doing. You will probably have to redo them many times. If you're working with an author, they will most likely want revisions, so don't get too attached to the drawings. Most likely you will have to change them down the line. Once you're happy with everything, or once everything is approved by your client, it's time to move on to the next stage. This stage varies greatly depending on what kind of art style you have. Some people do detailed outlines first, others go straight to color. In this specific book, I kept the lines to the minimum, so my process was first layout, sketching, and then final colors. I skipped the outlining stage because I didn't want any outlines for this book. Here you will start to see less changes. Hopefully you have sorted everything out before entering this stage. You know how the layout of the book will be, the color schemes, the characters, all of that is solid, so you're finally ready to start working on the final illustrations of the book. This process realistically can take months to finish. That's why I haven't filmed my entire process here. I have other videos to show you how I illustrate specific scenes. The minimum you can expect is around 2 months and that's being ambitious, but every book is different. Some books have a lot more detail than others. Quite often it's longer. At this point, you have probably been working on the book for months at a time, and you're quite exhausted and tired. That goes back to the importance of finding something in the book that you really enjoy working on, so it can take you through all of the months of work that you have in front of you. With all the internal pages, there's only one thing left to do, which is to finally do the cover. At this point, you have drawn these characters, the setting, the color palettes, so many times that you're super familiar with the feeling of the book. It would be much easier to choose the most important moment you want to illustrate for the cover at this point of the process. One resource I have for you that I find really useful for covers, but also for internal pages. If you're not familiar at all with terms like trim size, bleeds, you can go to Amazon's cover template website. You can customize the cover completely depending on what kind of format you are working with or what the author requires. It will give you a downloadable template that you can use for your cover, but also I find it helpful as a guide for your internal pages as well, because it shows you which parts might be cut in the printing of the book, so it's best to avoid them while you're making your pages. I hope you found this video useful. I have poured everything I've learned over the years making children's books, everything I know. I'm in no way an expert in this field. I haven't been doing this for decades like some other children's book illustrators have, but this is all the things I've learned along the way, and I just wanted to pour them all into this video to help guide you if you're planning to make your first children's book as well. Again, thank you so much for watching. Give this video a like. It took quite a long time to make, and I will catch you on the next video.